In Chapter 15, we're going to talk about mortgages. We're going to talk about specifically how to find monthly payments, how to break down your interest versus what gets applied to the principal. We are going to talk about closing costs and how to calculate the total cost of interest. So in this first example here, we're going to talk about closing costs. So it says Beth bought a home for $150,000. The closing cost was $1,000 plus 2 points. How much did Beth spend in closing costs? Well, it's going to be $1,000 plus whatever it means to say 2 points. Now, when a bank says you're going to have a fee and they're calling it 2 points, a point is equal to 1% of the mortgage amount. So 2 points means I'm going to find 2% of the mortgage amount, and that's going to be part of my fees. So to find 2% of $150,000, you're going to take 0.02 times $150,000. So you're going to find 0.02 times $150,000, and then you're going to add it to $1,000. That should be a total of $4,000. So in order to close on this mortgage, they need to put up $4,000, and basically these are just fees. So just remember that each point represents 1% of the mortgage amount. So if it said the closing cost was 3 points, you would find 3% of the amount of the mortgage. Okay, in this next example, we're going to talk about how to find monthly payment and how to find the total cost of interest. Now, there's a difference between the total cost of interest and the interest for just 1 month. When they say the total cost of interest, that means over the entire term of the loan. So how much extra did you pay other than the amount of the loan? Whatever is over the amount of the loan that you ended up paying will be the total cost of interest over that time frame. So the first thing you need to do, if there is a down payment, you need to calculate that first. Now it says Gary bought a home for $200,000 and he made a 20% down payment. Now the reason why we have to calculate the down payment is because we don't want to pay a mortgage amount, or we don't want to pay interest on money that he already paid on. We want to subtract off the down payment because that money was already put towards the home, and we only want to pay interest on the amount that we're going to borrow. So to find the down payment, we need to find 20% of $200,000. So that means I'm going to take $200,000 times 0.2, and that's going to give me a down payment of $40,000. So the cost of the home is $200,000. Gary is putting $40,000 down. So the amount that he's going to borrow would be the mortgage amount, would be $160,000. Because you would take the $40,000 off of the $200,000 because he already paid that up front. So what's left is the amount that he has to borrow from the bank, and that's the $160,000. Now to find the monthly payment, you need to look at your student handbook on page 45. There is a table for monthly payment. And what you would do is that table represents For every $1,000 of your mortgage amount, it tells you how much you're going to pay for your monthly payment for every $1,000. So to find your monthly payment, what you're going to do is you're going to take the mortgage amount, which is $160,000, and divide it by 1,000. That will tell me how many 1,000s are in 160,000. And then I'm going to multiply that by my table value. Now, when you look at the table, it's going to have across the top the percentage and interest, and then along the side, along the left, it's going to have the number of years for your mortgage amount. In this case, it says the interest is 9%, and the mortgage is for 30 years. So when you look at the table, you're going to look at the column that says 9%, and you're going to look on the side where it says 30 years, and you're going to look to see what that value is. And the value should say 805. So I'm going to take the mortgage amount divided by 1,000 and then multiply it by 8.05. This 8.05 means for every $1,000 that I'm borrowing, I have to pay $8.05 for my monthly payment. And that's why we're dividing by 1,000 first. So when we put that in on the calculator, we're going to get 1,288. So our monthly payment is going to be 1,288. So you use the table on page 45. Let me make a note of that here. Page 45 in your student handbook to help you figure out what the monthly payment is. Now, to find the total cost and interest, what you want to do is you want to figure out how much money in total you've paid over time. And whatever it is over $160,000 has got to be the amount that you paid in interest. So if I know that we're doing 12 payments a year because it's monthly for a mortgage, and we're doing this for 30 years, I know that I'm going to make 360 payments because I take 12 payments a year times 30, so that's 360 total payments. So to find the total cost and interest, we have to find the total cost and subtract off the mortgage amount. Whatever's left over, whatever you've paid over the mortgage amount, will be what you've paid in interest. So to find the total cost, I know that I've made 360 payments of 1,288. So this will give me my total cost that I've paid over the 30 years. Then if I subtract off the mortgage amount, which is $160,000, that will give me how much I've paid in interest over the entire term of the mortgage. Now, I didn't subtract off $200,000, even though that was the cost of the home, because remember, he already put $40,000 down. So that has been excluded from our calculations. So once I take the number of payments times the monthly payment, that will give me the total cost. And I subtract off the mortgage amount, and what's left over would be how much I've paid in interest. And you should find that that would be $303,680. So if you notice, this is a lot of interest, and you're going to find when we start doing these mortgage problems that the banks are raking it in on interest. Okay, so the next example, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the down payment amount. We're going to find the mortgage amount. We're going to find the monthly payment. And that will lead us to being able to figure out what the total cost and interest is. So first we need to find the down payment. So the down payment is 20% off the price of the home. It says the price of the home is $225,000. So to find 20% for the down payment, I take 225,000 times 0.2. That will give me $45,000. So the person buying this home is putting $45,000 down, which means the mortgage amount, that's going to be the amount he's going to have to borrow from the bank, is going to be $180,000, because I'm going to take the $225,000 and I'm going to subtract the down payment. So whatever's left is going to be the amount that I'm going to have to borrow from the bank. Now, to find the monthly payment, I have to take the amount that I'm borrowing, which is $180,000, and divide it by 1,000, because this table represents the per 1,000. So for every $1,000, that amount that's in the table tells us how much money for every $1,000 that we have to pay each month. So we take 180,000 divided by 1,000, and we're going to multiply it by the table value that we get. So when we look at the table on page 45, it says this is a 25-year mortgage. So along the side on the left, we're going to look at 25 years, and we're going to come across and find the column that says 8% interest. So when you do that, you're going to find that the value is 7.72. So for every $1,000 of the amount that I'm borrowing, I have to pay $7.72 to the bank. So this is how we're going to figure it out. When I multiply this out, I'm going to get a monthly payment of $1,389.60. So this is the monthly payment. Okay, now to find the total cost and interest. I have to find the total cost that I'm paying over time. And I'm going to abbreviate MA for mortgage amount. I'm going to subtract off the amount that I borrowed, and whatever is left over that's over the amount that I borrowed is going to represent the amount that I'm paying in interest. Now, I'm making monthly payments of $1,389.60. I'm doing this 12 times a year, because it's monthly, for 25 years. So that means that's 300 payments, because I take 25 times 12. So that's 300 payments. And I'm going to multiply that by $1,389.60. So this will give me the total amount that I paid over time. And when I subtract off the amount that I borrowed, which is the $180,000, what's left over would be the amount of the interest. So when I work this out on my calculator, I'm going to get $416,880. So when I work that out on my calculator, I'm going to get $236,880. So you can see that's like double, pretty much, of what they're paying for the home.